Hello everyone, coming up tonight on Business Live, Ghana close to securing $370 million following a staff-level agreement reached between the IMF and the country's authorities to conclude the fourth review of the 36-month extended credit facility supported program. What's in for the Ghanaian business community? We shall be finding out. Meanwhile, IMF Mission Chief to Ghana, Stefan Wode, backs the decision of the Public Utilities Regulatory Commission to increase tariffs for water and electricity, insisting it is needed to improve the fiscal situation.
ECG in turn is able to pay its bills to the power producers, and that in turn you, as Ghanaians, continue to have access to electricity on a continuous basis.
Plus, Federation Association of Ghanaian Exporters and the Ghana Export Promotion Authority aim to increase non-traditional exports revenue to over $5 billion in the next 2 years. We have details of this and more for you. Please stay on. Grateful you could stay on. I am Pius Kojobaka. A look now at our stories. Ghana is close to securing $370 million following a staff-level agreement reached between the IMF and the country's authorities to conclude the fourth review of the 36-month extended credit facility supported program. IMF Mission Chief for Ghana, Stefan Wode, has in the meantime backed the decision of the Public Utilities Regulatory Commission to increase tariffs for water and electricity, insisting it is needed to improve the fiscal situation. More in this report.
Two-week assessment of Ghana's program. The IMF said fiscal slippages in the run-up to the 2024 elections led to large accumulation of payables and also reforms which were also being delayed. But the IMF, in this particular joint meeting, indicated that the new authorities have taken bold steps to address some of these slippages, which include the hike of electricity and also water tariff.
As the government adjusts utility prices between on the one side, the importance of those adjustments to strengthen the SOEs in the sector and make sure that public finances overall are sustainable, and on the other side, the implication that it has, especially for the most vulnerable. And I think when we discuss with the authorities, we very much focus on these two aspects. So think about the electricity price increase that PORC has announced recently. On one side, it is very necessary to strengthen the position of ECG so that ECG in turn is able to pay its bills to the power producers, and that in turn you, as Ghanaians, continue to have access to electricity on a continuous basis.
Bank of Ghana Governor Dr. Johnson Esiama at the joint meeting also said the central bank will also make sure all necessary requirements are also being met.
Throughout this process, we have remained clear-eyed about the need for solutions that are both technically sound and tailored to Ghana's unique context. Our policies reflect this balance. We want to thank Ghanaians for their patience and resilience.
Finance Minister Dr. Tuforsin at the joint meeting also said government have implemented a number of structural reforms to ensure the full realization of this particular IMF program.
Rather started like the most difficult review of the program has ended successfully, with the IMF and the government of Ghana reaching a staff level agreement on the fourth review today. This marks a significant journey in our collective effort towards resetting the economy for the Ghana we all want. We remain fully committed to the implementation of the program and will do all it takes to ensure that the objectives of the program are on track.
He also debunked claims of government intention to extend the IMF program.
On the program extension. And let me again repeat that this mission was largely focused on the implementation of the program and to ensure that the program is on track and the program will be implemented going forward to observe the spirit and design of the program objective. That is what we did, and we have successfully achieved that. Going forward, if government takes any other decision, we'll communicate that to the public.
Now, government says it remains committed to complete a comprehensive public debt restructuring program to ensure sustainability. For Joy Business, James Ishen.
All right, so let's get to hear from the business community on the back of this development. President of the Ghana National Chamber of Commerce and Industry, Stefan Mason Abbas, joins us via Zoom for a conversation on this. Thanks so much, Stefan, and good to know you are on with us. So what does this successful completion of the fourth review of the IMF program mean to you as a business community?
Pius,
Yes,
this
Stefan.
is good news, but it comes with a bag of mixed feelings. In the sense that, yes, with this level of approval from the staff level and going to the board, we know definitely yes, the last tranche of the capital will come in. But for how long? So in the meantime, what it is that is going to help us to stabilize our currency. But then this is just a short-term relief. You understand? So we also need to understand what are the government's programs, both fiscal and monetary, that is going to ensure long-term sustainability of this program. Let me go ahead to say that in the recent times, we have realized that under the new government, especially the Minister of Foreign Affairs, have rejected a lot of T-bill purchases. What it means is that T-bill rates are going down, interest on T-bills are going down. Then it means that there's a lot of capital for the banks to lend to the business community. But then interests at the banks are also high. So what it means that the fiscal policy and the monetary policies do not align. Even though there's enough capital for the banks to on-lend, the interest rates are high. So in as much as the government takes all of these steps, we need to look at the long-term benefit and sustainability of this effect. So $370 million comes in. The dollar comes down to, let's say, 12 cedis per dollar or even 10 cedis per dollar. How long can we sustain that? How long can we sustain that for the business community? Considering that a country like Ghana, we do a lot of imports, both for production and for consumption. Okay? So it is important. It's good. It's good. It's good news, but it's not a good feeling at all. Really, it's not a good feeling. As long as this cannot be sustained in a very long term, it's really not a good feeling. So we need policies that will ensure that our currency is stabilized and strong and stronger, so that industrialization can increase, imports can go down, and all of that. And also our dependence on other food products. We need to industrialize the country so that our dependence on food products can go. If they end up importing rice, oil, tomato paste, and all of that, obviously, in the long term, we will still go back to it. So we want to encourage the government, the minister, to ensure that the fiscal policies are such that in the long term, the strength of the cedi is sustained, basically.
So, Stefan, in the meantime, there's been argument that, well, as you are rightly saying, in the interim, this should come as a sort of comfort to the business community and, of course, investors. Wouldn't you agree with me on that?
Yes, most definitely. That's what I said. it brings a lot of comfort, but it is short term and it's going to be short lived. It's short term and it's going to be short lived. Businesses plan in the long term. Businesses plan in the long term. So, what is the government's policy to ensure that the currency, our city, is stabilized in the long term, in the very, very long term? Okay, that is what is important. If we do not do that, what will happen is that we would end up going back to the IMF. And that is not good for any economy. That is not good for any economy. So it is important that we understand the government fiscal policies so that we can embrace it. Like I've said, in the very recent times, we've seen that the government is trying to lead the capital market by ensuring that it doesn't take a lot of subscription. So there's a lot of capital for the banks to on-lend. But interest rates are high. Interest rates are high. And therefore, it has a lot of long-term effect on the dollar. So those are the things that we need to understand. So in the meantime, yes, it's good. But the short term is not something you want to count. You want to count on the long-term solution. That is what is very important.
All right, Stefan. So in the meantime, we know that the IMF has also been defending the recent increase in utility tariffs, saying that it is needed to improve the fiscal situation. And I'm wondering what your thoughts are.
You see, as I said, all these things are a bag of mixed feelings. You are increasing electricity, you are increasing water. What happens to the household? What happens to industry? That means that cost of production will go up. What it means is also that you have to pass it on. Industry will have to pass it on to consumer. And the consumer now suffers. You understand? So yes, obviously for them, once it's a policy that meets the program, obviously they have to back it and support it. But we in industry, we in commerce, we are not really happy with such increases. We were expecting that a lot of these things were going to reduce and bring a lot of relief to the business community and then industry. But for us to know that electricity goes up by 14%, water goes up by 4%, yes, that is cost. So eventually that is going to be passed on to the consumer. And what happens? It doesn't go. Look at our salaries of the ordinary Ghanaian.
All right.
The salary alone is increased by 9.something%. Electricity is increased by 14%. How does that? How do you meet up? How does the ordinary consumer meet up? So these things, in the short term, they are good news, but in the long term, it's not the best.
All right, Stefan Mason, I truly appreciate your time this very moment. He is the president of the Ghana National Chamber of Commerce and Industry, speaking to us on the back of the latest development in relation to the passage of the fourth review of the IMF program with Ghana. I want to stay a while longer on that because Ghana may have passed its fourth IMF review, but that doesn't mean the hard part is over. These are the words of economist Professor Patrick Esuming. According to him, one of the biggest challenges still on the table is debt restructuring. He points out that until Ghana fully settles its debt with both local and international creditors, the country's economic recovery will remain shaky. In his view, the IMF milestones are important, but real progress depends on getting the debt situation under control once and for all. He spoke in an interview with Joy Business.
At every stage, there are some targets to be met. I think since the start of the program, some of the target dates and additional targets have actually been added. So we hope and see. So depending on the progress and issues that come up there, the government together with the IMF, sometimes they revise the timetable and the schedule. But I think there's going to be another review, probably covering up to the first quarter or so. That will probably be done in July or so, and then we see where we go from there. But don't forget that there are still aspects that have to be done, especially even the debt exchange, the debt restructuring. Don't forget that it's been approved. The bilateral agreement is done, but we still have to do the country-by-country agreement. That part is not completely done. And we still have a small chunk of our external debt to complete the restructuring. The commercial part is not completely done. So all of those have to be done so that we finally bring an end to the debt restructuring. And then there are still a few structural issues that are yet to be addressed. The amendment to the BOG Act is still not complete. So there are still a few things to be done.
This is still Business Live. We have more stories for you after this break. Hello, welcome back to the program. The Federation Association of Ghanaian Exporters and the Ghana Export Promotion Authorities aiming to increase non-traditional export revenue to over $5 billion in the next 2 years. According to the chairman of the association, Davis Kobo, more investments in logistics and payment systems are needed to meet this target. He was speaking at the launch of the 2025 Ghana Horticultural Expo.
Chief Executive of the Ghana Export Promotion Authority, Francis Kojo Kwarteng, pledged their commitment to support businesses. Chief Executive of the Ghana Export Promotion Authority, Francis Kojo Kwarteng, pledged their commitment to support businesses.
And we sincerely apologize for that. We shall bring you that story subsequently. But onto some other stories. The newly appointed Executive Secretary for the Ghana International Trade Commission, Mavis Ejekwa, has assured of initiatives to promote local industries and support their production at cheaper rates. She has been speaking with Joy Business after a short engagement with the staff of the Commission to officially begin work as Executive Secretary. More in this report.
The Ghana International Trade Commission has been in the forefront of the promotion of fair trade practices among local businesses and their foreign counterparts. The appointment of its new Executive Secretary, Mavis Ejekwa, is a giant step in boosting the operations of the Commission since its establishment a few years ago. She's promised to work together with the Minister of Trade and Agribusiness to provide guidance to the President in supporting local businesses.
Going forward, GITC will promote Ghanaian business so that we will be able to have fair competition when it comes to trade. So we will do our best, in line with the President's vision, to engage the Minister of Trade, to advise the President in reducing taxes so that the Ghanaian industries will be able to produce and then be able to sell at cheaper prices.
In a speech to welcome the new Executive Secretary, Head of Research and Planning at the GITC, Bernard Menua-Frere, assured of adequate support for government initiatives aimed at transforming Ghanaian businesses.
So we have been positioned to help industry to grow and also to make trade and industry grow in Ghana. And so on this occasion, as we welcome our dear ES, we are taking the opportunity to remind Ghanaians that we are ready to help push the industrialization agenda. We are ready as a commission to push the 24-hour agenda. We are ready to push the Feed the Industry program. We are ready to support government.
The team welcomed Mavis Ejekwa into the office with a tour of some key policy departments.
Management of the Ahafo South mine of Newmont, Africa is positive of generating more revenue for the country and committing to improving the socio-economic status of its host communities for the year. The mine in 2024 contributed in excess of 7.5 billion cedis in tax out of a total of 9.4 billion cedis generated by the 3 operating mines of the company in Ghana. More in this report.
Following its inauguration under the 9th Parliament, the Parliamentary Select Committee on Lands and Natural Resources paid a working visit to the Ahafo South mine of Newmont, Africa in the Ahafo region. The visit was to assess and gather insights into the operations of the mine, which is Ghana's largest gold producer. In 2024, the company produced approximately 800,000 ounces of gold, the largest production year since its operation started in 2006. The company has so far produced a total of 9.6 million ounces of gold. As a mine committed to contributing to the national economy, Newmont Africa paid approximately 9.4 billion cedis of taxes, with its Ahafo South mine alone contributing 7.5 billion cedis. Alex Kofienin is the general manager, Ahafo South mine of Newmont, Africa.
2024, we paid in excess of 7 million Ghana cedis, 7 billion Ghana cedis from Ahafo South. If you put Ghana together in terms of where Newmont operates, we paid in excess of 9 billion Ghana cedis. This year, in terms of our projection, we will not be producing similar to last year, doing almost 800,000. We're doing a little over 600,000, and definitely government will continue to have its fair share. The community will continue to have its fair share.
But with the threat of illegal mining operations, the company could be compelled to rechannel its revenue targets and investments into beefing up security for workers and local communities.
Illegal mining is a bigger problem for the entire nation, and for us, because safety is our priority and life of people are a priority, people put their lives at risk during illegal mining. We continue to remain responsible and committed to obeying all the regulations that we work with. This year, we will continue to do same, and that is why we need the atmosphere to be able to operate in a safe environment.
The government recently justified its position to increase the growth and sustainability levy on the mining industry from 1% to 3%. This was pushed back by the Ghana Chamber of Mines, arguing the levies could adversely impact the mining sector. The chamber has formally petitioned Parliament to reconsider the proposed increments, awaiting a positive outcome. Ahmed Nantongma is the acting CEO of the Ghana Chamber of Mines.
We have engagement which is ongoing. I mean, it's not just Parliament, the Ministry of Finance as well. So we have started some engagement with them. But at this point, it's a bit premature for me to say where we have reached or what it will be. But the outcome that we are looking for is a situation whereby the mining companies can continue to be viable and then to continue to pay their taxes. So that's what we are looking at, a win-win situation. Government will get what it wants, but then as well, mining companies also not be made worse off because of that.
For Joy Business, my name is Emmanuel Bright Kweku.
And you can get more stories when you log on to myjoyonline.com/business. I am Pius Kojo Baka.